Now we're going to have Ingo Puhl talking about making the voluntary carbon market circular. And while we're at it, making it tremendously bigger and using open source. So if that doesn't trigger your excitement and curiosity, I don't know what does. So I invite Ingo to come on stage virtually, meaning unmute yourself.
Yes, so I just unmuted myself. Yeah, so basically I just kind of like do a little self-introduction. So Ingo Puhl. I'm one of the founders of South Pole Group. Basically, it's a very niche player in the voluntary carbon market. I mean, in the carbon market is probably a niche industry. In the market, we're actually quite a big player. So I've been doing this already for, it's really, I mean, it's COP1 was my first COP. So the next one is going to be COP26. So I've been doing this for 26 years, right? We have gotten some traction. The world reduces, but it's actually, you know, the world reduces 130 million tons of CO2 through voluntary offsetting, which is a fraction of what we need to actually get anywhere near net zero. It's literally 1% of where we need to be at. And I have recently joined a task force with, you know, like very good kind of like exposure on what do we need to do to scale up the voluntary carbon market by 100x. And basically the people in the market have not been able to do that, including myself. And I think what we need is fresh ideas. And that's when you know, and then when I had this contact, you know, like, hey, you've been nominated for this Fair Force list. I thought, oh, what is it? And then I saw, oh, young people, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. And thought, okay, though maybe, you know, basically throw some inspiration, kind of like a problem statement into this group as a start for what might be an ideation process or a hackathon, right? And what I want to present to you today is a kind of just like a little problem statement slash hypothesis. And I believe there's something there that if basically, you know, matched with the right idea, could actually make a real contribution to scaling up carbon markets. And here's how it goes. I mean, so I don't know how many of you are familiar with how voluntary offsetting of your carbon footprint actually works. It's like what you said earlier. You know, you fly around the world, or you fly from A to B. Many things that we do, many economic activities, involuntarily, the side effect is you emit CO2 that in that very moment you can do nothing about. You don't want to give up kind of like that consumer activity. So you have a carbon footprint. So the next best thing, the second best thing that you can do is you can co-fund somebody else's mitigation action through the use of a carbon credit. So basically, and then retire it. Basically, there's a carbon credit that has been originated. So it's like a certified proof that somebody has reduced emissions by 1 ton. And that is now, by buying it, you are creating a financial transfer, a financial reward to that entity for having done that on a voluntary basis. And by putting a price on carbon this way, you create a financial incentives for more people to invest in mitigation actions in the future. That's kind of like how it works. That's all very nice. The only problem with that model is a carbon credit that you use once and then retire feels like a very inefficient use of a natural capital asset. So first we go through all of that work, we create a carbon credit, retire it, therefore creating a net emission reduction. And then we use it once to offset, and then we throw it away. And I think that there is something better that we can do, that we can come up with ideas to keep that carbon credit in some kind of like circulation. And one idea in that direction is to link a retired carbon credit to a crypto asset. that we then use as an alternative currency. No? So basically, it's like as a reward currency. No? A frequent flyer mile is literally a reward for creating greenhouse gas emissions, no? Like for flying on an airplane, and then you get to redeem that, to create more emissions. So it's kind of like, with such a crypto token that is backed by a retired carbon credit could in fact be the opposite of a frequent flyer mile. I mean, it could have the same utility, basically a store of value to pay for stuff, no? But for climate friendly stuff instead of for greenhouse gas emitting stuff. No? That's basically a negative or a green frequent flyer mile idea. And if we had such a currency, kind of like a positive currency, basically think about it as a unit of money, like a euro or a dollar or whatever, that is not printed by some central bank in return for nothing, right? But that is printed by someone who takes positive climate action and now has this, as any kind of like monetary unit. And how could we possibly create an economy around the use of such, let's call it just positive money? So how do we then have, basically we use a carbon credit as an issuance event for a positive monetary unit, and then how can we create circularity around the use of that fund? When I heard you speak earlier about, basically using shares in a company to reward participation in a positive startup, right? We actually, maybe that's where this positive money sits between normal money, who wants normal money, and shares. Shares are not very liquid. You never know if your startup takes off. So maybe there is a sphere in the middle where we say it's not money and it's not shares in a company, it's just positive money. But then, and we have seen projects like that. We've seen projects where people that say, oh, this is a cool token, let's issue like a gazillion of those, and then do an ICO and then, whatever, run away. Or, I mean, that old crypto, like the 2017, that was definitely not a smart idea. But can we do something real? Can we design it in a way that is fair and rewarding for everyone who sits in that ecosystem? It's kind of like a positive currency that is a means of exchange within a community that wants to achieve positive things. So if everybody accepts it, and it's circular, that means, let's say I'm a coffee shop, you like coffee, right? I accept that positive money as currency. You have it because you like coffee, right? And then, and then at the same time, basically you're an electrician and my coffee machine breaks, right? So we already have a circle, right? You use that money to pay for coffee and I pay you to fix my coffee machine, right? And then you buy another coffee. You see, it's good. So how can we do that? Starting small and getting large. And I feel there could be a million of kind of like ideas around the use and around the creation and use of such positive currency. And what I'm saying now is an open invitation to everyone. If you have like smart ideas around this, or if you want to be part of this, and if you think, oh, this sounds interesting, I'd be interested to talk to you to say, how can we turn that into something real?